Welcome to Dust in the Groove, powered by Classic Vinyls. All right, everybody, here we are live in the Classic Vinyl studio over on Coursey Boulevard. This is our inaugural episode of Dust in the Groove. When I wanted to do this podcast, I figured, what do I want to hear? What do I want to talk about? I want to talk to musicians about their origin stories. What started this whole road for you? And I could think of nobody better than Louisiana Music Hall of Famer, the legendary Baton Rouge staple, Mr. Chris Leblanc. We are over here at Classic Vinyls. We are recording the inaugural episode of Dust in the Groove, and we've got my brother, Mr. Chris Leblanc, up in here. How you doing, my brother?
Life is good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed.
I appreciate you, my friend.
So what we kind of want to do here is we want to get to the root of what makes people make this decision to be a musician, because that's not an easy decision to make, and there's usually some kind of trigger. Like something happened that took you down this road. Is there a moment that you knew that this was what you were going to do?
I really do. I believe it. Like in my life, being a young kid, my dad was a musician. My uncles, but on both sides of my family, So it seems like everywhere I went, man, there was musicians there, and there was music going on. And then being a kid, in the early 70s. And then like, as my dad had a band, and I would sit in on their rehearsals in their jam room in this house. My dad had a music room in the house, and I'd sit in and watch them. I was all around adults, playing music and stuff, and I wasn't playing yet. I was watching, and picking it up, but I knew what was going on. I'd watch what everybody was doing and really pick it up. My dad played bass, and he was a singer, and so there was really the moment where I had the moment of being a kid and going into the music room by myself, turning on the bass amp, picking up his bass, and starting to get the whoop, 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 through the amp, and I'm just like, wow, man, boom, 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 start learning, cruising around on it, and then, then all of a sudden, man, I developed some skills where I learned what was going on. I learned some songs. Then eventually they pulled me up on stage. I'd be like, play a few tunes, and first song I ever played on stage, I was playing bass, and it's "Needle in the Spoon" by Leonard Skinner. It's the first song. That's a good place to start. Yeah, it's a good start spot, So, and then it was like, getting a little older and having the skills of playing, and, they would take me out into the places, I'd be young, and they'd take me out, and just, hey, my dad wanted me to come. He was really encouraging. He always wanted me to play. And I'd go play with him. And oftentimes, because I played bass, my dad would give me the bass, and then he could just lead sing, And so then, and then I'm playing, and of course, when you're a young kid, who doesn't want to see a 10-year-old kid, right? Do this thing, So people were always loving it and encouraging, and just, it gave me the gas, man, to really, go, man, this is what I love. And truthfully, man, this is what I've done my whole life, going out and playing music, man. And it's like, I knew when I was a kid, this is what I wanted to do. It was like on the top of the list. I went to LSU. I've done a bunch of other things. I know how to do a bunch of other things, but music, man, it's medicine.
It does something. It feeds a part of you that once you get it, and once you feel that feeling of getting to play with people and for people, you can never let that go.
No.
It never goes away. And I tried. Like I said, I started playing music when I was 35. I raised my kids. I did everything I was supposed to. I worked on the road all through my 20s when you're supposed to be playing in garages. So I started really late. But that first show, that very first show, I was like, I'll never stop doing this.
Exactly.
And I'm only about 8 years in now, but every single time I get to sit on a stage and play anywhere, it doesn't matter. I'm just grateful.
Oh, I know. I can tell, man. I remember the first time, just a few years back, the first time I saw you play when we played at the Tiger tailgating thing at Lamar Dixon. Yeah. And I saw you, and I was like, this dude is special, man. I meant it, man. I was like, wow, bro, it's good. It's
my dad came to that, and he'd only probably been to 1 or 2 gigs, and that's when I was playing metal, which he called cocaine music. I'm playing that cocaine music, man.
They called it narcotic music. What are you doing playing that narcotic music?
And I was like, man, I'm pretty fat to be on cocaine, so that's probably not what's going on here. But when he was watching you, and he pulled me off to the side. My dad was old school. Like, he wasn't going to sit me down and say, I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah.
But he did. That day, he told me, he's like, now you're playing with the right kind of cats. He's like, this guy here's badass. I know him. You playing with the right kind of dudes. And, man, that just made that whole day super freaking special for me, man.
Oh, that was a great day, my friend.
That was.
That was a really nice day out there.
So, you started playing when you were 10. So, like, how many years are you into this now?
Man, I'm 52 now. So, like, it's over 40 years of, like, kind of going out and being in public and playing shows, you know, and it's kind of weird to be, I mean, I still feel young, you know what I mean? The music keeps you young, you know. I'm still doing the same thing I was doing, when I'm 21, you know, going out and playing music and making it happen, you know, but it's like, after all these years of doing it, man, I don't ever see myself like burning out. Because, you know, to do it right is to try to stay fresh in your mind about music. Those are the ones that go, you know, the ones who have like a career in music. It's because you are thirsting for the freshness, you know, and that's where I'm at, man. Like, I've done it too, man. I'm at a place in my life now where I feel like it's about to open up. And I know that sounds strange, and things have been great, and things are awesome. But it's like, over the years, I did it, man. My son is now almost 21 years old. I was a very focused dad and a parent and a husband and did all of that. And now it's me. You know?
Yeah.
And now it's me. And so I'm like, I'm starting to figure, you know, it's me and a group of people that I'm always around, you know, people that we are our people. You know who our people are, and it's you know, and for that, man, I feel like I'm feeling fresh. I try to learn new music every week. I'm learning new songs, rehearsing, thinking about songs, thinking about, you know, I'm always writing words, recording music, whether it's going play on someone else's session or just doing it for me, you know, just to have shows lined up. I like to have work lined up. I love working. I love any of these kind of opportunities, you know, to come and do a podcast, or tomorrow I'm going on 2 different radio shows to promote so it's like, and doing a show tomorrow night. So it's like, I really try to fill my schedule. I want to stay busy, and the way that you make it in the music business is to hustle.
That is God's honest truth.
Hustle and don't stop. You know, do not stop doing it.
And, you know, inside of that hustle and trying to keep working, there's this ever-evolving sense of, like, who am I now? Like, what am I good at? What does everyone like, but that also means something to me? Because, I don't know, I think Kelly Parker told me one time when I was playing in Cosmic Cowboys, she's like, if you can't feel it, don't sing it. And Brad Waldrop told me the same thing.
That's right.
He's like, if you don't feel it, don't sing it. So I love the fact that it never changes, because depending on what you're going through in life is what dictates, like, what songs you feel and which ones you can put some real emotion behind. And you know as well as I have, like, you've seen so many people trying to sing songs and you know they're not connected to it. You know they don't mean it.
Yeah.
Like, that's why the blues is the blues. Because you gotta feel it. Whatever it's singing. If you're up there and you're singing Don't Stop Believing for the 19th millionth time, if you feel it, it's gonna come across to everybody. It's gonna be better. Like, I could probably never get away with singing Don't Stop Believing, but you turn me loose on one of those Merle Haggard songs, like, dude, I've been there. Like, I've been through 2 divorces and all kind of things in life, and it means something to me, and it connects with other people. Well, let me ask you this. In all of those years, did you ever set it down and say, I can't do this anymore?
Man, there was a time, there was a moment, maybe 6 years ago where I started. 6 years ago, there was a moment in my life where my son was entering school, and I had a different kind of living situation where it was, and I had to kind of limit the amount of work that I was doing, and it just kind of, I never really stopped doing it through my career, but there are moments where I took a different approach that made me, I worked less because I kind of had to, if that makes sense. I had to tend to my home life. And
it's a very delicate balance.
It is a very delicate balance to figure. And thank God, God always provided for me through any moment, whether I was, I wanted to, whether it was a pandemic, or what's going on. There were moments, when the first lockdown happened in the spring of 20, that, dude, I stayed home for 100 days and didn't go out in public and play shows. And, like, all I did was I would look forward to a Saturday night of, like, doing a live show or a live show online. And through that, man, it made me gain a new appreciation for really what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Like, to stop and go, okay, look, everything is not automatic,
Yeah.
Like used to, I would write, you could write dates in your book and go, okay, 99% chance that's going to happen. Not anymore. It's like a thing where, oh, it's too cold outside. Oh, it's flooding outside. Oh, wait, this place is not open because they can't open. And then, there's dates or it becomes a thing where I'm just flying on blind faith right now. Just going and I know that I'm on this mission.
Yeah.
And so for that, I gotta throw myself completely into it, and that's kind of that's where my mind is now.
Dude, I got to a point where, like, I was starting, I branched off on my own, and I started playing regular, and I was like, okay, cool, like, I've done what I needed to do. And then when that stopped, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do with myself, but it forced me to do those things that I'd been putting off. Finish writing this song.
Yes.
Go and record this song. Go over to Brignac Lane and do this for real and put this song together like I wanted to. It forced, I'd have never done it.
Yeah.
If I'd have been in the bars every weekend, I'd have been like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I've reached the mark that I'm working regularly, which is, step one to being a musician is you want to work. You want to play for people. You want to get your name out. You want to do all these things. And I put all that stuff on the back burner. A lot of it was, confidence issues. Like, I know I can go sit in front of these drunks and play on this Saturday night. I'm not sure if I can craft an entire song in a professional studio with musicians that are just incredible and, like, do all of this. But, man, I'm glad I did. So
you did it, dude.
I've wanted to my whole life, and that's what I told them when we finished the last song, Few Good Men. I was like, this is what I've wanted to do my entire life. It's a whole different experience and a whole different process. And through that, I got to meet and work with all of these fantastic musicians we have in town that I probably would have never met if I was just bars Friday, Saturday,
right.
Stuff like that. Well,
that's true. And going with that, it's like, especially in a community like we have in this area around, because it is a very special area, bro, that we're in. There's so many people that kind of know each other. We try to go work a lot of the same places and the close, but there is a full pool of great unbelievable musicians here, bro. That is crazy. It's not like this everywhere.
No.
I'm telling you, dude, it's not like this everywhere. So it's like, it's kind of cool that as people, the moment we kind of put our foot in the pool, then we're swimming together, all of us, I mean, hearing, telling you earlier that, working, going and hearing some of the tracks that you cut, hearing the track that you cut, and I was part of like being able to proof some of those tracks and going, getting who they wanted my opinion on some things. I'm listening, I'm going, yeah, this is cool, and it just makes it where if all these people somehow can put their hands on each other with music and dude, it's all lifted it all up.
That surprised me probably more than anything when I got into playing music is, like, there's a genuine vibe for a lot of the musicians that we all play with around here. I mean, you got your handful of just, I don't want to deal with this dude, like, he's in his own head, like, there's way too much ego here. I expected a lot more of that, but everybody that I've encountered, country, rock, metal, all the, because starting so late, I had to do everything in hyper speed. You're supposed to, I did it like super fast, like a metal band, all right, rock band, like a variety band, now I'm going to be country. Like, everybody, 90% of the people I met, like, I honestly enjoy talking to them. I honestly enjoy playing with them. And it's easy. Yeah. It's easy. You find chasing that chemistry, because that's what being a musician is chasing that chemistry and putting a band together. You don't know why this works. Like, maybe our personalities don't jive, but when me and this bass player and this drummer are in the room together, there's going to be some magic. There's going to be those little gems, like Brian Brignac with the gems. You got to look for the gems. Yeah. When those happen, you go, this is all worth it. All the headaches.
Yes.
All the stuff that you go through to be a musician. This one moment right here is exactly why I do this.
Yeah, dude.
I love that so much.
It's the best, dude.
So, you said you know how to do a lot of other things. Was there ever a moment where you were like, I'm going to either put the music down and go do this, or maybe try to balance the two, like I'm going to try to get this, steady job and then play on the side, or have you just been, I'm going to be a musician?
Man, I'll tell you, it was like, in the earlier days in my life, I was going and I was a parts man. I was working in the automotive industry, and I did that for a few years, man, where I was I'm always good with numbers, and my memory works. To know songs and words, you got to really have it filled up, But, and so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being now this is many years ago, because I've made music my career now for, it's been my job for 30 years now, since 91 is when I was like, okay, this is it. Here we go.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And dude, that's a hell of a decision to make, and
that's
kind of what I'm doing now. Like, I've always had a steady gig, construction. I got to work in the office for years, which was great because I'm getting older and it's hot and I'm getting kind of fat, and them boys go out there in that heat and work, and I don't want to do that anymore. But that took up 90% of my time. And it was just kind of squeezing in music, and I'm just now taking that leap to go, all right, I'm going to be at Classic Vinyls every day. I'm going to sell records, and I'm going to focus on playing music, and all of those things that I wanted to do when I was young, I want to do them all.
Yeah.
Like, and like you said, there's bucket list items that you don't even know are bucket list items.
Yeah.
I got a TV interview with Rocket Radio tomorrow up the street. And
I love them.
And that to me is a huge deal, and I hope I always keep that big deal feeling. But every little thing I get to do, playing opening for you at the Taste of Tiger tailgate, and that's a huge deal. Everything's a big deal, and I love that part, because you have these little moments of, well, I didn't even know that was on my bucket list. I didn't even think that would happen, but it did.
Right.
Like Kendall Schaefer called me and he was like, "Man, come play guitar for me." And I was like, "I'm not a good guitar player. Like, I don't know theory. I don't really know how to play country. I'm a metal dude. Like, I'm a metal guy." But when I got in there and kind of figured out what he wanted to do, he's like, he wanted some outlaw stank on this. He wanted a little attitude on it. And
the blues and rock.
And I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But when we did it, it was fantastic. And I learned so much being in a room with these musicians that, you know, some of these guys worked in Nashville back in the day.
Yeah.
And hearing their stories and watching them and learning what they do, it just makes you better. Yeah. It just makes you so much better.
Without a doubt, man. You know, that's the one thing that I'm learning now at my age is that, you know, you're living your life and you're trying to make plans and these things. And, you know, even John Lennon kind of said it, how he said that life is what happens when you're busy making plans for it.
I love that.
So, and then, you know, there comes a time, you know, all of this has an ending. There is you know, and it's hard to kind of think that because we're thinking, man, ahead, we're thirsting for this next thing, or you're like, you're making your hustle and you're cruising through. But the other side of it too, that I've really been thinking about now, because I am over 50 years old now, that I want to continue this. I want to keep myself in a move, stay surrounded by good energy, and keep my brains about what it takes to do this business and to do because I mean, this again, I understand that all this kind of does have an ending, and you can almost hear some sadness in my voice when I think about an ending because I don't want it to end. I want this to continue as long as I can. I want to be B.B. King and Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
I couldn't imagine. I don't want to
live my life without it.
I couldn't imagine
I can't.
a music scene around here without your name kind of on the top of the pile. Like, you've been here forever. And, like, I know for me, like, if I'm playing at a place where Chris plays, I'm doing something right. Like, brother, I'm not trying to blow smoke over gas, but you're the gold standard for this. Like, every single time I have ever seen you, which has been a bunch of times, the main thought that I walked away from was, he loves this.
I love it,
He enjoys this. I saw you, I think
so much,
it was at the Texas Club, United Texas Club, Nights Goes.
Yeah.
You opened for Buddy Guy.
Yes.
He got, it was a Hall of Fame award, or...
I think he got something that night. They gave him some, maybe he was inducted in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame or something.
And I couldn't, and like I was watching, dude, you were on fire.
It was just me and acoustic, and then Pops was with me.
Yeah.
Pops had played some mandolin and harmonica, but it was a packed house, and I'm just me, you know. I'm like, you got to bring it, dude.
I remember sitting there probably on my 10th or 12th Jaeger bomb going, what does that have to feel like that you're playing, and as soon as you get done, Buddy freaking Guy is going to walk out on that stage. Like, that's got to be incredible. I can't even fathom how that felt, man.
It's an awesome feeling, dude. I'll tell you, I've opened up a bunch of shows playing before Buddy. And actually, now that you say that night at Texas Club, I did that show with him. And then the next night, drove to Mobile, Alabama, to go play with him at the Sanger Theater in Mobile, Alabama the next night in front of a whole nother crowd that was like, it was on fire. It was killer, man. It was just like, wow, you know. And then I did a show with Bud this is like 2006. I flew up to Anchorage, Alaska, and I'd gone and done 3 dates at a club in Anchorage, Alaska, before this Saturday festival that was in Anchorage, Alaska. And we were playing, it was in this Blues on the Green, like a bowl with like 10,000 people out, you know. And I opened up for Buddy Guy, and it was in the summer during the time of the midnight sun. So I go on at like 9 o'clock at night, opening up for Buddy Guy, and the sun is shining outside. It's beautiful outside. There's 10,000 people playing. I play for an hour, and then Buddy comes up. And that was really one of the first times that I got to play before Buddy. But it just reminded me of that, you know, and like these...
That's got to be a mind-blowing moment to go, all right, I was 10 years old, and I picked up my dad's bass, and now I'm in freaking Alaska.
Yeah.
At night, with the sunshine and opening for Buddy Guy. I mean, that's got to be
in front of 10,000 people that barely know who I am, and they're loving it because it just happens.
That gives me anxiety just thinking about it, but at the same time, I was like, man, I would love to do that.
Oh,
you know?
Dude, look, I went in one of the bigger shows, some of the bigger ones that I did, and it's so crazy that a month before that, I played a show. It was in the summer. It was June 26th of 2006. I played in Beaumont, Texas, opening up for Hank Jr. and ZZ Top at the Beaumont, the Ford Amphitheater, and there's 25,000 people there, man. It's nuts, man. And I'm just telling you, it's very much like the pinch me moments, man. During that time, I had a bunch of new music, and I just put out the Starshine record, and Bill Ham, who was ZZ's longtime manager, he found out about me through a guy over in Steve over in Beaumont, Texas, and Bill Ham flew to Beaumont, Texas from Austin to come and meet me and see my band because they wanted to put me on some of these Z shows, you know. So I was like, okay. And I get there and I'm friend, Bill loved me. He told me that I reminded him a lot of Billy, which was like, what? I was just nuts. I was freaking out, man.
In the pantheon of things you think you would hear in your life.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a thing to hear.
That's something to hear, bro. Okay, from the manager for 35 years. Jesus. And so they were like, yeah, we want to put you on these shows, you know. So this is crazy, man. So I just opened up the show, and Hank Jr.'s on stage playing, and I'm on the side of the stage talking with Bill Ham like this, you know, and he loved me, man. He reminded me a lot of my dad, man. He looked so much like my dad. And he was a very kind and eloquent kind of gentleman, bro. And ZZ Top's manager for all the years, you know. And so I'm sitting here talking with Bill, and we're catching up, and then in walks Dusty Hill with his lady, you know. Oh. And so I'm like, wow, okay, right on. You know, I mean, the second concert I ever saw in my life is ZZ Top in 1980, and I'm like 11 years old. My dad takes me.
You're a long way from there.
Yeah, I'm a long ways from there. I'm like, I just opened up for him, and I'm looking at him, and then here comes here comes Dusty, and Dusty and Bill start talking for a second. They greet each other and talk, and then Bill's like, hey, Dust. This is Chris Leblanc from Baton Rouge. He opened up the show today. And Dusty's like, oh, yeah, we were talking about you this week about the show. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, y'all were talking about me. Okay, cool, bro. Right on.
Yeah.
Great to see you, partner. And then we end up hanging out, you know, and it's just crazy. It's like how that happens.
I can't imagine that you could almost top that, but if you had to pick... two questions. If you had to pick a gig kind of early on that you first felt like, okay, I'm making it.
Yeah.
What would be that first one where you stepped on that stage and I'm like, all right, everybody don't get to do this. Like every musician doesn't get to do what I'm about to do. Do you have one of those gigs?
I got some. It's hard to kind of go back, but it's like I think about more like of who I was around or who I was. What was going on at that moment where I thought, you know, and some of the festivals here in Baton Rouge back in the day when there's some really legendary blues guys that didn't have to call up this young white kid to come and play guitar with them, but called me up and wanted me to go play with them. And, you know, it's Rayful Neal, it's the Neal family, it's... you know, getting on stage and playing with Guitar Kelly and Silas Hogan when I'm like 14 years old at the Blues Festival. Like these dudes are legendary blues cats that those kind of moments, or like, you know, playing in a festival. It seems like every, you know, I would say that there's moments where I've played these festivals and been in this setting where I just look around and I wish the world could see what my eyes are seeing, because it is such an unbelievable blessing. Like I mean it, man. Like I can't even explain. I know a lot of musicians don't always talk like that, but when you really are taking in, which I do. I never waste a thing. I don't. I'm not a wasteful. And like to take in a moment and you're looking around and you're like, I can't believe that I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable, bro. Like, to look out, whether it's to playing at Live After 5 downtown and there's 8 or 10,000 people in front of me, or, and especially now after pandemic, canceled shows, festivals, what are we doing now? You're looking around going, God, if I could just, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that came into my path. And for that, dude, I will never stop giving it back. I mean it. Like, I don't care what it takes, where, how many people. I'm going to play music.
Yeah. Until
I absolutely cannot. And I don't care what it takes. Nothing is going to be in my way.
There's a hunger that comes into that.
Yeah.
That when you do something big, it makes you want to do something even bigger. And for me, it all comes from like, almost like a self-doubt place where it's like, I didn't think I could do this, but I did. So I want to see what else I can do.
Yeah.
Like where else I can go with this. And I mean, that's kind of why we're here. I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I never thought this would be a part of anything I was doing in life, but the notion of I want to sit down with Chris and know his perspective because I'm a musician too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have those little moments where you surprise yourself.
Yeah, man.
I've never got to play in front of like huge crowds, but James Gilmore texted me and said we're going to do a little pre-party for Jamie Johnson and Colt Ford coming to Lamar Dixon.
Nice.
He's like, I'm getting the Maiden Tiger Country people together to do that, and do you want to do it? And I'm like, are you serious?
Yes.
Like, yes. So then, like, I sat home and marinated on it for a second, and then I texted him back, and I was like, does this mean I get to say I open for Jamie Johnson? He's like, are you playing before Jamie Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, yes, you get to say that. And I'm like, all right, let me go. I'm going to go sit down for a minute and process this because that's really cool. That was my first, oh, crap, man, maybe I'm doing something good,
yes, sir.
And then seeing the people that he had picked up for that, which my initial thought was, man, these guys are way better than me. Like, they're all way better than me. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
But I'm going to assert myself here.
That's right.
So if you can balance that ego and self-doubt and find a good happy medium.
Yeah.
And I think the key to that is it brings you joy to do this, like real, honest to God, in your heart joy. Whatever your reasons are for being a musician, if you can get out of your own way and feel that joy, it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
I just wanted nothing more.
I didn't mean to interrupt. But it takes that joy and that thing to make your best music. You see, like, not only are you feeling it, but like when you're feeling it, it's coming out and it's part of what they're getting.
Yeah.
So that's it. Like I've thought to myself over and over, like I had in the early days when there was a lot of touring bands, I had so many opportunities that I went and opened up for a bunch of bands. They would come to the Varsity Theater and I was like first call guy oftentimes to go, hey, come open up for Blues Traveler, Storyville, you name them. All these, I can't even start to name all the bands that I've played with over there.
If y'all don't know who Storyville is, y'all need to. Like, I'm going to tell everybody this right quick. Storyville was Double Trouble. Stevie Ray Vaughan's Double Trouble, and then I think it was Doyle Bramhall.
Well, Storyville, what Archangels was Tommy and Chris from Double Trouble, and then Charlie Sexton and Doyle Bramhall.
Okay.
And then after Archangels came Storyville, which was Tommy and Chris, and then David Holt was a guitar player.
He was a guitar player in Storyville.
And then he played with Mavericks, and then David Grissom was the guitar player that played with Mellencamp, Dixie Chicks, he was a Dixie Chicks music director for like 10 years. And then Malford Milligan is the singer. And so when they came to town, I ended up going and I opened up a few different shows up in different places, going and doing shows, playing before Storyville. And like, all I wanted to do was hang out and talk with Tommy Shannon and Chris. And Tommy became we became close. I say close in a way where it was, again, pinching myself going, this guy is a legend. And there was a moment where I was like, would you mind if, I asked him, I was like, is it cool? Would you mind if like we talked about Stevie some, you know? And he's like, bruh, we can talk about Stevie all you want. He's my best friend in the world, bro. What do you want to know? And I'm just like, really?
Freaking mind blown, dude. Mind blown. Like,
I was like, are you kidding? Yes.
I would sell probably a kidney and maybe one of my children to have that to be able to have that conversation. Because that Stevie Ray Vaughan is literally. Like, I didn't want to play baseball anymore. I'll tell you the story. It's short. We got time.
Yeah, we got time.
My aunt came over to my dad's house to get him to change the brakes on her truck. And she was big into mixtapes.
Yeah.
Like, she got her a whole setup, and she would just make mixtapes. And she brought over one, and it had Stevie's version of Little Wing on it.
Yeah.
I'm 10. I'm sitting cross-legged inside the tire listening to them two argue about how he's supposed to be changing the brakes. And I heard that come on. And, I mean, I kid you not. I didn't want to play baseball anymore. I didn't want to play football anymore. I was like, I want to do that. Still can't play that freaking song, but that was it. That was that moment that I was like, I want to play guitar. And I did it for a long time, and I have a problem with numbers and patterns, which makes it real hard to be a guitar player because it's completely all numbers and patterns. Like, it doesn't stick. But it makes me want it that much more because I know how hard it is, and I have to find a way to figure out how to do this and play all of those little things that all of those great guitar players did. I want to be able to do that B.B. King lick because I like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Because it takes me back to when I heard that B.B. King lick or I heard that Stevie lick. I just want to take little parts of that because it makes me kind of proud of myself. And it makes me just feel good that
you're paying homage to that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Do you have? I know you're a killer guitar player. Is there a guy like this is my guy?
Oh man, I love him. I mean, like I love all. Oh man, so many killer guitar guys and so many musicians. But like when I was younger, for sure, it was Jimi Hendrix and And Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Leonard Skinner. I mean, yeah. Jeez. I mean, dude, are you kidding?
Like, I know. I mean, I've got a million too, but like, I will always go back.
Alan Collins, Leonard Skinner, Gary Rossington, Steve Gaines. I mean, Ed King. I mean, it's like, it's just, oh my God. And Jimi Hendrix, like when I think about Jimi Hendrix and the way he played guitar, like, I didn't have guitar chops when I was young. You know what I mean? Like, I was a bass player and a singer, and I could play drums. I played some other, band instruments. I played band instruments, trumpet, and, I did different things in the band. But I was surrounded by amazing guitar players who I didn't have to be a great guitar player back then because there are great guitar players everywhere around me when I'm a kid, Or I say kid, a young. And then when I got to be about 19, 20 years old, 19, before, even then, like, when I started hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan, or like I was listening to Jimi Hendrix and like picking up what he was doing and like listening to where he's at, I didn't so much like try to cop exactly what he was doing. I just wanted to play music in a way that his approach was, where Jimi Hendrix played the freest, most open music that you might hear. It's like electric guitar, Miles Davis or something. That approach of just you're flying and whatever wind you're in, that's where you're in, and that's where the music is gonna. That's where things are gonna fall in this path of music. You know, I always felt like, and then the spontaneity that goes with that is the thing inside of you. You know that it's spontaneity like this conversation. As music should be.
You let it, you give it room to breathe.
Yeah.
I always gravitated to Jimmy and Stevie because there was always this element of this feels like it could go flying off the rails. Like we're approaching chaos right now. But, you know, my mom had a famous saying, like she loved Jimmy. She was the rock chick in the family.
Yeah.
She said there's two kind of people. There's people that like Jimi Hendrix and there's people that are wrong. And there's kind of two camps. Like, certain people understand when Jimmy and Stevie go on their freakouts, that's on purpose. They have reached some kind of level where that pentatonic scale's not going to get done what they're trying to get out.
Yeah, there's
they
no
have
more
to
limit.
go further.
Yeah, there's
and you
no
can
limit.
play faster, or you can, you know, I mean, yeah, you can play faster, but that doesn't get it. But you have to reach out and get to something that's a little past what you're supposed to do, past those patterns, past the math, and get out there. And I used you'll love this. I used to use experimentation as a crutch because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, totally. That's how you do it.
You use the weird stuff to fill in the spaces of what you're probably supposed to be doing, but inside of that, that's where creativity starts to come alive.
Yes, sir.
That's where you start freaking out and doing things that you may not have normally done, and it's invention. You know, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
I didn't want to bend that note for that long or that way, but now that I've done it, man, that felt good. Felt good. Everybody in the band responded to it. Everybody out there kind of stopped for a second and looked at you, and you're like,
yeah.
I love that part. I love that part of music because every single time you can play the same song over and over and over. If you get out of your own way and you play the way you feel, you're going to find those cool little moments. I got to sit down with Steve Vai when he played at the Varsity. My buddy Mike Allman got us the Evo package or whatever it was. Right. Sit in a little half circle and you talk to Steve Vai. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm listening to everybody's questions and I'm like, hell's wrong with y'all? Y'all can look this up on Google. Like, who cares where he's playing next Friday night? You got one of the baddest technical guitar players on the planet here in front of you. Ask him something. So my question was, man, do you ever screw up and just go, hey, that was cool. I didn't know that was there? Yeah. I mean, if anybody on this earth knows all the patterns and the math, it's Steve Vai. And he said, not often, but when I do, he's like, I chase that down. I want to know why it feels good. I want to know how I can use that. I want to know where it came from and where it can go. Man, I took that with me. That with me, and I hope I'll take that with me for the rest of my life because that's a hell of a thing to drop on somebody. And then he goes, well, who's your favorite guitar player? And I was like, well, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Everybody sitting there is looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, dude, I paid $500 to talk to this dude. Obviously, I'm a fan, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to him either. And he said, do you play like Stevie Ray Vaughan? I was like, well, no. He's like, would you be happy if you would? And I was like, oh, absolutely. He said, then you'll never be a great guitar player. You'll be good, but you'll never be great. If you take what he could do and make it sound like you, you'll be great. And I took that with me, too. And I love the way you play because I think, man, you played at Extra Innings in Central one night. And I worked for like 4 months to get my metal band in there. And I didn't know how that was going to go. Like, I worked hard for it. I basically begged the dude, man. Like,
please.
I'll play for a cup of coffee. Just let me come over there and play. Because that was a happening spot for a minute there. Yeah. And I walked in there, and you were, like, dead ass in the middle of the Star Spangled Banner. Eyes closed, head back. Joey was just eating on that. He had a big DW kid at the time, and he was just eating on it. And I'm like, that.
Yeah, right there.
That's those kind of moments that you look for when you put that guitar over your shoulder and you start going. And if you have that chemistry with you, you forget those guys are there. You just run. And I love that. Well, is there all of these cool opening shows and stuff that you got to do? Is there one that you would put at the top of the pile?
I think doing some of the ZZ doing the ZZ shows.
It's
like,
hard,
I
it's
mean,
hard
as far as
top opener for ZZ Top.
yeah, right. And Hank Jr. Like,
yeah.
Like, I played, and then Hank Jr. come out, and this is so crazy that the Hank Jr. show. So we were all staying in the same hotel there, and I walk out the hotel, and we're going to the venue, and I see a group of people kind of partying in this bar that's in the bottom of the hotel, and I don't think nothing of it. And I go to the venue where we're hanging out. So we open up the show, and then, of course, they have our stuff is small compared to what Hank Jr.'s whole back line, and then ZZ's whole back line. So we strike our stuff, and we're off. Well, then the stage manager or whoever, it could have been Hank's manager, whoever, stage manager, whatever, he comes up and he says, listen. He says, look, this is what's up. He gathered like 15 people around him, and I was standing right there just like listening, And he goes, Hank's been in the bar all morning partying with a bunch of friends, and he is lit. And he ain't drank in like 18 months.
Oh, Lord.
He's lit. So he's like saying, y'all be ready for anything to go on here. He's like a warning. And I was like, oh, this is about to get good.
They gonna be some stories coming out
John,
of this.
So look, we're hanging out, and Hank walks in, and he is lit, bruh. He gets on stage, and he starts cussing. And I mean, there's 25,000 people. He's like, I ain't opening for no goddamn ZZ Top. I'm the star of this damn show, and blah, 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 going on. And it was like a real Bocephus show, dude. And I was like, what? And the crowd knew it, and bruh, this place lit up. It was on fire, bro. We were like, whoa. And I was like seeing it happen. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is what everyone's been talking about my whole life.
Yes, this is everything I expected it to be.
Whole bunch of whiskey and a lot of attitude, dog. It was rock and roll to the bone, So there's those moments, where you're just like, wow. And, and then ZZ, and then it was awesome. It was a beautiful day, but, it's those moments, man, that these shows like that, they're top of the list, And then even too, like other moments in my life that I get to go spend, like I recorded on what turned out to be Bobby Charles's last record.
Oh, wow.
So Bobby Charles, he was from Abbeville. He wrote Walking to New Orleans for Fats Domino. He wrote See You Later, Alligator, after a while. So, he wrote all that. He was on Chess Records. He was one of the only white dudes ever on Chess Records. So getting a call to go do that and then spending 5 days in the studio with Bobby and Dr. John is there, and I'm hanging out with Dr. John and Sonny Landreth and all these, we're recording this record, which turned out to be, we recorded this record 7 months later, Bobby passes.
Man.
And, it's actually the last record that Bobby ever made. It's called Timeless. And I got to be on that record and spend a bunch of it's like I just flew in this little microcosm for a little while. It was kind of wild.
See, that's something see, you just gave me something to track down.
Yeah.
And being in a record store,
I
love the hunt.
Yeah.
I have to have
You got to hear this record.
I have to hear it, but I have to have it in this store, man, because I know the history now.
Yeah.
And I love that part of music as much as everything else. As much as you get to play it, as much as you get to talking about it.
Yeah.
I love the anthropology of music. This didn't just show up. This type of music, this song didn't just show up. It pulled from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say the inside of my brain looks like one of those crime shows where they just got the red string going to kind of everything. Like, that's the inside of my head, dude. When I hear something, it's like, I think they should make a blanket statement that if you're doing an interview and someone says, who are your influences? All right, we're taking Kiss and Beatles, Black Sabbath and Hendrix off the table. Let's dig in a little further. Like, let's get a little further into how you got to there. Because, I mean, you know, if you're playing with Bobby Charles and you're opening for Hank Jr. and you're opening for ZZ Top in Storyville, like,
it's crazy.
There's a lot to pull from all that.
Oh, man. That's just the beginning, dude. Like,
and that's what makes you you. That's what makes you the artist that you are. Which kind of brings me to my next question. This is one that I want to ask everybody that comes in here. Like, give me a handful of songs that if aliens landed and said, who the hell was Chris Leblanc? Give me a couple of your songs or other people's songs that you would say, this is what you could put my legacy together from.
Right. I think one of them for sure would be a tune that I wrote some years ago called Deliver Me. It's very much like it's almost feels like a Amazing Grace kind of thing that I wrote this tune, and I really love this tune. I played it on shows all the time, and then I played it at a lot of, this sounds different, but I actually wrote this song thinking of an ending song, of what is this song like on my ending or anybody else's ending. And so for that, the message has come through because I've played it at a lot of people's memorial. And it's one of these things, man, that like, I'm comfortable with it. The words are cool. It's a spiritual song. I just think like, and it came to me, like I literally sat at the house and wrote out 3 verses like I had sang these my whole life. And it's crazy, man. Like, however that works, I believe it's divine messaging. I believe it. That's where I'm at.
I absolutely
believe in divine messaging. I believe that God is all powerful and that I am just one of the lines in God's thumbprint. Here we are.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And so, like, that would be one. There's other songs out there just like Otis Redding, That's How Strong My Love Is.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable, bro. It's an unbelievable song. You Are My Sunshine. I mean, it's just, come on, man. It's as Louisiana as a cup of grits.
My mom used to sing me that song when I was little. Yeah. And when the day after she passed, I sat down and I was like, I've never sang this song before. She used to sing it to me. And the version that came out of me, I mean, it was very slow.
Yeah.
And but the way I felt when I played that, it changed. Like, it changed me. And I'll never hear that song the same. But that's what music gave me that day.
Yeah.
Was a way to get all of that out. And it was You Are My Sunshine.
And it's a trip about You Are My Sunshine. A lot of people, you can read things about the song and where it's at. You can kind of check it out. But, like, it has sunshine in it. And it feels, it's major. It is a sad song, my friend.
Very much so.
It is like sad, like a Hank Williams song. I mean, it is that, and it carries weight, and so for that, dude, that's why it's like, it's a heavy song, bro.
And that's exactly the kind of song that you would want to leave your legacy with.
Absolutely,
like, this is something that every time somebody hears that, they're going to feel what I was going through, or they'll relate to this story. But the end game's to write a timeless song.
I know, that's all I've ever wanted to do, baby.
Dude, being a country guy, I'm sorry, you can't write a timeless song about a tailgate and Bud Light and freaking tan legs, bro.
No.
That's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to do. I want something that lasts, man.
I know, like that's why, like when people, like on my acoustic gigs, I will play old country music.
That's me, man.
I like Hank Sr. and the blues and playing blues songs because all of that is hand in hand. all of that is from the same. All of that music is 200 miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
That's it.
It's all one thing, you know.
So we're going to kind of wind it down. I want to know what you got going on right now, brother. I know you said you were recording some stuff at
I've gone over there and cut stuff. I played on a bunch of other people's stuff that's been kind of cool, which is nice. There's a lot of stuff out there now that's what I'm doing. I'm really I am trying to get my catalog out is what I'm doing. You know, over the years I put out a CD in 95, 98, 01, and 06. And then I haven't put out my own record since 06.
Oh, man, it's time, dude.
But that's what I'm saying. Like exactly, and that's what's happened is that I got busy being a dad. That was my first priority. When I have a 6-year-old kid,
absolutely,
no song that I write is going to be cooler than 10 more minutes with him.
Absolutely.
So I put all that aside. I did purposefully to be unselfish as a man, but at the same time, still taking a moment, but not like what it takes to go make a record.
Yeah.
Like I made records. I made records before there was digital. I made them where you cut them and they got to sound in tune and sing them in tune and no editing and no none of that shit. I made real sounding records that sound real good today still. And for that, I'm very, very thankful. At the same time, I put a lot of things on the back burner and I played on other people's projects. I did so many sessions of go and play on other people's stuff just because that I was able to keep in and go into the studio, go give what they wanted, go give them more than what they wanted. Y'all take all you want. Here we go, boom, bada, boom. Okay, and so now that's where I'm at. I started cutting a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of material that I've cut, and what I've done is that I have 2 records that are out streaming right now. Okay, I have them out where they're streaming on all platforms.
Tell everybody what they're called.
Okay, so I got a record that I put out called Talent Show that's on all the platforms, whether it would be Spotify or whatever's out there. And then I put a record out in 06, which was the last Chris Leblanc Band record that I put out in 06. I put it out. It's called Starshine. And what that record is like 7 studio tracks and 6 live tracks. Because I wanted to get where the band was at that time and what was going on. I had cut a bunch of stuff in the studio, and then the band was playing certain things live, and we did it. So, and it's out Spotify, YouTube, you name them, Apple, whatever, everything that's out there. But my main goal now is to just get the rest of my catalog out. I still got 2 more records that I need to go put out streaming. You know, I have an acoustic record called Son of the South that is out, and then I got my first debut Chris Leblanc Band record that I put out in 95. It sounds killer still. Like, I listened to it, I went back and listened to it the other day. I was like, man, that was really cool for like a Mackie mixer and 3 ADAT machines.
Right,
you know?
Right.
I mean, for real, you know. So my main goal is to get my catalog out, and then start dropping in a bunch of new music that
because that's kind of how the industry's going. Like it's singles now.
Well, I'm not worried about putting out a new record now, because who's buying records? You know, I say who's buying records.
Yeah.
Who's going to buy brand new records?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's all about, like, I want to put one song out that someone goes, I have to hear this, I have to have it, and then drop another one. You know, like, I love coming here because I want to buy records. You know, I love records.
Yeah.
But it's because,
and that has become kind of a lost art. But this whole boom with the vinyl kind of coming back, dude, nothing warms my heart than to see these 13, 14-year-old kids that are just starting that collection. Because at some point, these little guys are probably going to get in a garage. It may be full of computers, but you still have to have a guitar, and you still have to have a bass, and drums, and a microphone, and all of this music that they're coming in here and buying. is going to soak into their brains, and it's going to come out through their fingers when they're 17, 18 years old.
I want to share this moment with you that is like something that is ingrained in me, man. So it's 1977, and I'm 8 years old, and I'm out in the backyard of my house, and my daddy's in the workshop, and I'm shooting a bow and arrow in the backyard. My dad says, "Hey, Chris, come on, man, take a break. Let's get in the van. We go and buy a couple of records." So I get in the van. We drive to Ogden Records, which was over there by Baton Rouge High School. And on the same day, my dad bought 2 records. Brand new, just come out, Hotel California, and the first Louisiana LaRue record with New Orleans Ladies and Take a Ride on a Riverboat. And come home, and he played these records over and over and over and over and over again. And that is why I'm a musician, bro.
Dude,
but I'm telling you, a record store, some music, and that's what this is right here. This is
you
what
fast
you have.
forward to 2021, and we're sitting
in
over
a
here on
record
Coursey
store.
Boulevard. Shameless plug. Classic Vinyls, 11903 Coursey Boulevard.
You must come here. This room is incredible. They have an incredible selection of vinyl, everybody, and a bunch of like really cool novelty gifts and stuff, like cool puzzles, figures, action rock and roll figures, cassette tapes, CDs, and a cool... Look.
You got a whole stormtrooper sitting next to Elvis. Where else can you find a stormtrooper sitting next to Elvis?
Right here. Security force.
I can't afford a bodyguard.
I got a stormtrooper, dude. But I mean, this place, you got to come. People, you got to come here. It's over on Coursey Boulevard. You got to.
Brother, we so much appreciate you coming, man. And let's go jam, bro. Let's go make some tunes, man.
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
I want to take a second and tell everybody about something I found that may be harder to believe than Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. I found an actual, honest mechanic right here in Gonzales, Louisiana. Go and check out At Your Service Auto Repair, 41076 Highway 621, Gonzales, Louisiana. Ask for Josh Easy Frettenborough. He's the only honest mechanic I have ever found in my 43 years of existence. Y'all go check him out at Your Service Auto Repair.